I, Jimmy Carter, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
the office of President of the United States.
and will to
The inaugurations of presidents past provide some of the most memorable soundtracks to our modern history.
So help me God. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Powerful orators whose carefully crafted words resonate through time.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Add to that pantheon of wordsmiths, Donald J. Trump.
I'm very highly educated. I know words. I have the best words. But there's no better word than stupid.
You may not like the divisive, emotive language, but there's no arguing that Donald Trump is a skillful communicator.
When he writes, as well as when he speaks, they obey no known laws of conventional English grammar. But that, again, is slightly effective because he speaks in these very charged, emotional terms. He uses, everything's great, everything bad is failing and crooked, everything's wonderful, beautiful, terrific, so great. And that means that you end up with something with no kind of logical structure to it very often, but a whole series of really loaded words.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
Donald Trump's speeches and news conferences are criticised for being largely fact-free. According to political satirist Rory Bremner, there's a technique Mr. Trump uses to distract us from this vagueness.
There's a lot of New York about him. There's a lot of gestures. It's almost like a New York cabbie or somebody on the street. You could see people talking. And they're doing all those, hey, no, I'm going to say this. What are they doing? All this. There's a lot of New York in Donald Trump. There's a lot of physical gestures. And his signature gesture, which is about, it suggests precision. And often when he uses it, he's being anything but precise. He's being vague. He says, we're going to do this in some weeks, in a question of time. I don't know how long it's going to take us, but we're going to do it, by the way.
Right?
It's different styles of oratory, isn't it? It's the trouble with the Obama oratory, and we know that it was very effective. We know that it had such great style. It took people to places that they didn't know they could go. But the trouble with that is that all it takes is for Donald Trump to come and say, yeah, well, that's just words.
It's known Mr. Trump sticks to the same few literary devices to drive home his rhetoric. Donald Trump's most effective device is probably simplicity. That's repetition at the start and at the end. Here's his most famous example.
We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again.
Dr. Peter Collett has made a study of Donald Trump and says he's perfected his non-verbal communication with a repertoire of looks.
So what are Trump's signature facial expressions, and what do they tell us about him as a person? Well, the first thing we notice is Trump's alpha face. This is his dominant expression, and it's done by lowering the brows, narrowing the eyes, and a complete absence of smiling. It's a way of signaling that you are not a threat. And the one thing that Trump wants to convey is that he is a threat. Another dominant expression of Trump's is the chin jut. Now, what's interesting about this is that men with large chins tend to have more testosterone, they're much more dominant, and they're much more aggressive. By jutting out his chin, he's showing everybody that he deserves to be in charge. But there's one expression which is very much Trump's, and that's the zipped smile. He stretches his mouth from side to side, and it makes him look as though he's got a massive mouth. And we know from research that men with large mouths tend to dominate and run organizations.
Mr. Trump is derided for his seeming inarticulacy, but while his political rhetoric lacks the florid vocabulary of his predecessors, there's no doubting its strength. After all, he convinced America to elect him president. Ashish Joshi, Sky News.